In 2010, China became for the first time in history the second economic power in the world before Japan, and predictions show that the country could pass the US from 2025. However, the BBC recently reported that public concern is growing about China's economic power. Is China a threat to the Western countries? That's what we're going to find out.
The Pentagon report is blunt. China is accelerating the ability of its military to project its power and reach, and also is, quote, rapidly developing coercive capabilities to stop Taiwan's bid for independence.
We are talking about a Chinese military that's being told by the party-state leadership to develop capabilities to secure Chinese interests around the world wherever they may be. And this is something new.
The Pentagon's latest assessment of China's ballistic missiles shows the ability to target deep into the oil-rich Middle East and Central Asia, and potentially hold the U.S. Navy at bay in the Pacific. Last year, China became the world's second largest importer of crude oil. Consumption could reach more than 10 million barrels a day in 5 years. The U.S. worries China may resort to military force to keep accessing those resources around the world to fuel its economy. The U.S. has felt the chill in military relations with China even before the recent confrontation at sea between a U.S. naval research vessel and Chinese patrol boats. The report points out that while its traditional military reach is more regional, China can now conduct some operations globally with its nuclear arsenal, its proven ability to destroy satellites, and even its prowess with cyber warfare.
The situation in China is very unusual, and it's unusual because counterfeiting is often protected by the local government, so that in many cases you have counterfeiters who are benefiting the local economy, and you have government officials who actually work together cooperatively with the counterfeiters to protect them against prosecution. If you have counterfeiting which creates economic benefits for the local economy, and it creates jobs, it helps support businesses. All of these businesses are supported by counterfeiting, and the counterfeiters are clever and they pay taxes to the local government. So many local governments would really hate to see counterfeiting shut down, because if you shut it down, you're shutting down the local economy. So the real problem is the problem of local protectionism. And that is that the local governments actually protect the counterfeiters. So it is very difficult to prosecute and get criminal prosecutions or even heavy civil penalties against counterfeiters, because they're actually protected by the local governments. And enforcement occurs at the local level, not at the national level. Counterfeit goods which come into the United States from China and from other countries come in under false documentation. And the U.S. Customs Department doesn't have the manpower to go and check every container. That would be absolutely impossible. So that they only check a tiny fraction, spot check only a tiny fraction of the containers that actually come into the United States. So it's not possible, it's just impossible to seal your borders from the influx of counterfeit goods.
There aren't many things that can't be counterfeited, unfortunately, and there are those unscrupulous enough to take advantage of that fact. I'm afraid it's true that while the quality and the professionalism of counterfeit goods does vary, those that are at the best end, if you like, of the market are very often indistinguishable unless by expert eye.
And if you're wanting to save money by buying fake alcohol in cigarettes, you may be harming your health.
Clearly some of the counterfeit bottles of alcohol that we've seized are very far from pure and contain elements that I wouldn't wish to be drinking. And similarly with tobacco, counterfeit tobacco brands can be effectively the sweepings from the floor, or tobacco crops that are recycled. Perhaps they've got too high a pesticide content. Some of the products may last longer than others. It's certainly not a victimless crime. The links to serious and organised crime are very real. The profits from these goods goods will be recycled. They will recycle anything regardless of the potential detriment to health. Well, for normal commercial use, the counterfeiters are unscrupulous. They will be used in drug dealing and people trafficking, prostitution, some very nasty characters involved in this trade. We would like to stress that it's not a victimless crime. You may be tempted to go for a bargain. At the end of the day, it's not the only consideration.
Well, scientific research is another area in which China could soon be leading the world, and if its current dizzying rate of progress is maintained, it could come within 3 years. Measured by the number of published research papers, Chinese scientists are already in second place, behind the United States, and as our correspondent David Shukman discovered, they're gaining fast.
A land of ancient invention, China was first with the plough, with writing paper, and with gunpowder, a hothouse of science now rising again. One ambition is in space. Chinese research has suddenly accelerated. The aim to use science to regain a global lead. In Chinese labs, they're working on future medicines, microscopic machines, new sources of energy. And Britain's National Science Academy, the Royal Society, has forecast where this will lead.
These are some of the current reasons that bring Western countries to consider China as a threat. This list is not exhaustive, and many other reasons are to be considered. However, China also has lots of opportunities that Western countries should contemplate. Will China rule the world? Only the future can tell us, but some people might answer by saying that when you mix the yellow part of an egg with its white part, only the yellow stays. Thank you for watching.